Let's talk about at home, right? Halloween at home, minimizing expectations and how to make the communication or the social communication activities a bit easier. You talked about the big shot role, giving them a role. Share some examples of what they could do with that.
So you mean like if they were just with their parents, or if they had relatives or
Well,
people
like people coming over, like for example, to help reduce anxiety. Like perhaps they're the in the home environment if they don't go out, or it's a gathering in the home environment with some aunts, uncles, or relatives. It's a role that they may play, and so it's giving them that kind of activities to do. And like I said, it's about maybe decorating, giving them that role, setting the table, making the Halloween cookies. A Halloween time of a play date or a get together to make Halloween cookies with a recipe of step by step. Talk about that.
Yeah, I mean, I think that that's where, again, these concepts that we talk about are very much identical, just making it Halloween themed. So, still having almost like a get together or play date with maybe a buddy, and, doing a baking activity where maybe they're making, pumpkin and ghost cookies. And so they're using the recipe, they're practicing hand over takeover where, you're prompting the child to hand over the flour and hand over the milk, and then they're mixing it. You're bringing your child into communication, thinking about, again, that SM triangle where maybe you're asking them various questions like, wait, did you want to do chocolate cookies or vanilla cookies? And you wait those few seconds, and then maybe you lean in and you say, tell me, are you doing chocolate or vanilla? And maybe your child whispers, chocolate to you, and you're starting that stage 2 process where they're now in that communication. So I think cookies are a great example. I think also I love that you mentioned the scavenger hunt, because many times that could be really fun if there's different fun activities throughout where they're looking for things, and maybe them and their friend are looking out for tasks rather than the attention on them. And so through the game and activity, it could feel a lot more comfortable. There's a lot of fun Halloween spooky questions that you can ask, like would you rather questions. Would you rather be a witch for Halloween, or would you rather be a ghost for Halloween, and kind of bringing in some of those questions. There are a lot of really fun art activities as well that I think you can do. So, I mean, honestly, Etsy has great stuff, or just online, if you look things up, there are great ways that you can start to navigate some of that. So I know a lot of my clients currently, especially because it's the beginning of the fall, they're doing a lot of like fun pumpkin painting, and you can paint different Halloween themed, I don't know, costumes or different characters. There's a lot of movies that are Halloween themed. And so if you want to, maybe host a Halloween movie night, having your child help with the structure of that, maybe handing out, like, let's say they wanted to make like movie tickets for everyone and handing them out, or handing out the candy, the popcorn, different ways to just provide more of that social engagement.
No, I love it. And for kids that are verbal and they're really strengthening their verbal skills, whether they're reading, writing, reading, the silly, goofy questions with people. You can even do FaceTime with relatives to do silly, goofy, would you rather, Halloween questions or favorite questions. Also doing things like with costumes. Some kids, tag team, the siblings where like, I know that, for example, you are a twin and it was thing 1 and thing 2, but it's kind of neat to have a sibling or a friend be the second half of the costume. That also helps a lot of kids having that kind of, buddy process. But I love with even an outdoor scavenger hunt where the child with SM who's verbal and beginning to become more verbal, they do well with the reading, right? The scripting. So they read like, go to the swings and look under the slide and you'll find something green and icky. And they're reading that, and then they collect it and they're all excited, and then they move. And so they are leading these activities. They know the scavenger hunt, the familiarity, the repetitive tasks. They know the recipe over and over. They know the goofy, silly questions over and over. That repetition is really, really helpful. And working on initiation, elaboration. So helping these kids to initiate, would you like to do the baking now, or would you like to do it later? And even asking their friends, would you like a drink now? Would you like a snack? And giving them these roles as we set up and navigate those kind of action plans and roadmaps to the social, the social encounter. And sometimes kids have to, really be part of this decision making. You may love art, but your child doesn't. They love Legos. So Halloween Legos is something they could do too. And really, mastering their interest, really letting them master that.